The truth of financial slavery, debt control. The dark history of slavery is a tale of power, subjugation, and relentless pursuit of control. It has morphed through various forms over the millennia, adapting to the times while preserving its insidious essence, from the shackles of land and the people to the invisible chains of financial debt. Slavery has shown a remarkable ability to evolve and endure. In the ancient world, slavery was often tied to the land. Feudal systems saw peasants bound to the estates of lords, their freedom curtailed by the soil they tilled. These serfs were not owned outright, but their lives were controlled through their obligations to the land and the lords who held it. They worked long hours, their labor fueling the wealth, the power of the aristocracy, while they themselves remained trapped in a cycle of dependency, subservience. As empires rose and fell, the face of slavery changed. The trade of human beings became a lucrative business, with millions of souls ripped from their homelands and forced into lives of brutal servitude. The transatlantic slave trade epitomized this era, a dark chapter in human history where African men, women, and children were treated as chattel, their humanity denied as they were bought, sold, and exploited for the economic gain of others. But even as the world eventually turned its back on its explicit ownership of human beings, slavery did not disappear. It simply transformed, taking on more insidious and invisible form. The shackles of the past gave way to the chains of financial bondage, as money and debt became the new tools of control. Banks, with their towering edifices and aura of respectability, emerged as the modern slaveholders. They peddled debt with a smile, cloaking their predatory practices in the guise of service and convenience. Credit became ubiquitous, marked as the key to prosperity and the good life. People were lured into a web of debt, enticing by the promise of instant gratification and the illusion of wealth. The banks, meanwhile, engaged in the alchemy of fractional reserve banking, creating money out of thin air. For every dollar deposited, they could lend out many times that amount, collecting interest on the money that did not exist. This system, sanctioned by the governments and obscured by complexity, allowed banks to amass staggering wealth and power, all while the masses remain oblivious to the chains around their wrists. As debt levels soared, the true nature of this financial slavery became apparent. People worked long hours, not for themselves but to service their debt. Their lives were dictated by the need to make the next payment, as the specter of bankruptcy loomed ever larger. The pursuit of financial freedom became a Sisyphean task, with the goal always just out of reach. The banks, unburdened by the conscience or accountability, tightened their grip. They preyed on the vulnerable, offering loans with usurious interest rates and hidden fees. They engineered financial crisis, profiting from the turmoil as ordinary people lost their homes, their savings, and their dignity. And with their reckless practices threatened to bring down the entire system, the banks turned to the governments, their hands outreached for bailouts. The costs of their greed were socialized, borne by the very people they had enslaved, while the profits remained privatized, lining the pockets of the financial elite. The chains of financial slavery are not made of iron, but they are every bit as real as those that bound the serfs and slaves of the past. They are forged in ignorance, tightened by apathy, and locked by a system that values profit over people. But just as with the slavery of old, these chains can be broken. Education is key, shining a light on the dark practices of the banks and empowering individuals to take control of their financial destinies. By learning about money, debt, and the predatory practices of the financial industry, people can arm themselves against exploitation and reclaim their freedom. Resisting the siren call of easy credit, living with one's means, and prioritizing financial independence over material possessions are crucial steps on the path to liberation. It is a difficult journey, fraught with challenges and temptations, but it is a journey worth taking. The story of slavery, from land to people to finances, is a somber tale of humanity's capacity for exploitation and control, but is also a story of resilience and the enduring quest for freedom. The chains of financial slavery may be invisible, but they are not unbreakable. The power to break them lies within each and every one of us, waiting to be unleashed. Prioritize your education and personal finance as the initial step in your financial journey. Remember, investing in yourself and in your knowledge is the most invaluable commitment you can make. Knowledge holds immense power, but its true potential is unlocked only when it is applied effectively. Understanding this will open your mind to know where you're at in life and what is possible.